Hey fam, it's Tams. Today I have a special guest. My mom is back in town. We are making Binadu Kadu.
Hi everyone.
Hey, so that if you don't know, it is we're using deer meat and we're making a stew, right?
Yes.
Kadu means stew in Chamorro. So anyways, join us in the kitchen. Okay, so the first step, we are cutting just a whole
Onion. Yes.
whole onion. Are we dicing it? What are we doing with it?
We're just gonna make big chunks of dice.
Okay.
Onions. I will do a whole onion for that much meat. Want to show you the meat I have?
So there is our binadu, our deer. Fresh, just shot a couple of days ago. Nate went hunting with some friends and he was able to shoot a big buck. And we've been blessed to be able to get some of that meat. Okay, so the next one, we are just gonna cut up some whole cloves and garlic.
We're just gonna prep it and dice it, and what we're gonna do is saute the onions and garlic before we put the meat down, and just to brown a little bit on the deer meat.
And what is our term in tomorrow?
Gisa.
Gisa.
Gisa the onions and garlic together.
Okay, so we want a huge pot. It's gonna be a big pot of kadu. You want your stove on medium high?
No, high heat
High heat.
to start.
And we're just drizzling, what, about
2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons of oil?
Olive oil.
Okay, so we got our oil heated and we engulf the onions and garlic. Okay, so what you want to do first is add the bones,
Big pieces.
big pieces of bone to the bottom first. And those will take longer to cook for you.
And then we just cut up the deer meat like beef stew, the size of beef stew meat.
We're adding a lot of salt just to
We're gonna add
season
meat.
meat and then some brown pepper,
No, black pepper.
black pepper.
And then we're just gonna brown the meat a little bit before we add the water to bring it to boil. Once you get a little bit of browning on the meat, bring out the flavor. Look at all those garlic. Okay, now the last thing we're going to add is the coconut milk after we add the vegetables. But we're just going to pour some water to the very top, just enough to cover the top of the meat. Okay, so we're just going to
So that's about 8 cups of water.
Well, it depends. It depends on how much meat you have. You want to cover the meat to the very top because it's soup. You want it to stew. And you leave it alone, and then you cover it and let it bring to a boil for a while. In the meantime,
we're gonna prep our vegetables. So we got some beans,
we couldn't find string beans, so we're using these beans.
and then look at that thing.
Fresh from the garden.
Fresh from the garden. Look how big that cabbage head is. So be sure to check out Nate's garden videos, updates and stuff. But this is our last head of cabbage, so we're gonna put that in our kadu.
And while the kadu is cooking, we're gonna peel our yams. We call this Dagu.
Dagu.
And it's kind of like how you put potatoes in your stew. And this is our island potatoes.
I love potatoes. So.
We added in at the end just enough to make it soft, like potatoes.
Okay, so you want to be sure you wash your vegetables.
Always wash your vegetables. You don't know who's touched them. And then we can also start peeling our yams.
So you want to wash
the outside just to
the
get some of the
outside.
dirt because it's from the ground.
Right.
So you want to wash the dirt off. Dice them.
So you're gonna take your yams,
Put it in a
dice
bowl.
them.
We're just gonna soak it in water until we put it into the stew. Okay, so now we finished washing all the green beans. And for the cabbage, same thing. We don't want small chunks because again, it's stew. Oh, this cabbage smells so good and fresh from the garden. So I'm gonna cut big chunks like that.
Huge quarter chunks.
Huge quarter chunks. Okay guys, so we have our dagu, which is a yam, potatoes that people put in stew. We have our cut up fresh cabbage from the garden with our green beans. And then the last thing we're gonna put in is our coconut milk. But I always have a little bit of water on the side because you have to check the stew periodically and see if it needs more water. It's cooking nice. We're gonna bring this into a rapid boil we'll check it again about 30 to 45 minutes until, to the texture you want it, the tenderness you want the stew. Okay, we see the stew is coming, the kadu is coming to a boil. And what I like to do is to gather all these yuckies, I don't know what we call them, I call them yuckies, on the very top and just scrape them off. There's really no fats on the deer meat because
these are just like remnants of like bone
and the blood and the yuckies.
Yuckies.
I don't know what to call them.
What were you saying, Grandma said?
My mom always taught me to do this whenever we're making stew or chicken and all these yuckies on the top. And look at how pretty that's coming along. And that's it. And let's keep bringing it to a boil again. And then we'll check to see how tender the meat's coming out.
Okay, so our Binadu Kadu has been boiling, cooking. It smells so good.
For about maybe 45 minutes.
45 minutes to an hour, depending how tender you like your venison. And then what's next?
Before we put the vegetables down, we're gonna put our dagu in. So you would time it the same way when you put your potatoes down for stew. So we're gonna cook that in and let it soften a little bit.
Probably another 15-20 minutes?
15 minutes and let it boil.
Okay, so next up we are about to put the vegetables in the kadu. So we have cabbage and beans going in.
Okay, so now we have our vegetables in. And this is the yams that we put in that softened a little bit. We just cooked it for about maybe 10 minutes. And we're just gonna let the beans cook for about 2 minutes and let the cabbage wilt a little bit. Don't cover, and just let it steam for a minute. And the last step is we are gonna pour down our coconut milk.
Okay, so in goes the coconut milk. Do we want to reduce the heat or?
Just let it sit for a minute until we stir it, and then we'll turn off the heat.
Okay.
So we don't want it to boil with the coconut milk.
It just makes that broth so creamy.
And there we go. And here is our kadu.
Okay, so we are done. We have our Kadu Binadu all ready, all good over hot rice. This is so good. I mean,
with a deer neck
a deer neck
that we got last week.
that Nathan got last week, and
kind of got last week.
right. Okay, so
Finadini.
we have our finadini. We're gonna go ahead and put that all
Tomatoes.
all over that with all that goodness. And then we are going to enjoy this. So anyways, thank you for joining us. Be sure to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and we are out of here.